Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of my podcast, Fairytale Unfiltered. Today's topic is something that I find myself to be swaying with a lot. I always find myself contradicting. I would say I'm a perfectionist, and with that comes good and bad things. A lot of people tend to tie perfectionism and the concept of being perfect to a lot of negative connotations and stigmas. I've definitely noticed that in my family, in my family dynamics. My older sister, I would say she's very against that idea, and my mother, she tries to strive for perfectionism and her daughters, and obviously my parents always push me and my sisters to be the best that we can be. I have my journal with me. I don't have a specific entry, but there are reoccurring themes of perfectionism that kind of show up in my journal. I never know when to take a break, but I always preach taking breaks to other people, but then I also feel like I know when to take breaks for myself, and I know when to give my body a break. And I feel myself to be surrounded with a lot of people that always want more, and I feel like that's such a blessing, because no shade to anyone, but I do know quite a bit of people that they always push things off, and I used to look down on people like that. Astaghfirullah. They're amazing people, but it's just they're not very ambitious until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put me in their position. Allah subhanallah, he always keeps me humbled, because I'm always tested with the exact same situation that I used to look down on other people in. Secretly, I wouldn't say it out loud, but in my heart, I would feel a certain way towards someone until it happened to me, and I would clock it immediately. I feel like people don't understand true humility until you're put in a situation that you used to look down on other people upon. Also, it's an ego thing, yeah? You talk about perfectionism, and you also talk about the man ego, yeah? Not man ego, but the human ego. It's just how God created us as humans. Humans were never meant to be perfect. Allah would rather have a servant that makes mistakes but turns back to him than one who is completely perfect in everything he does. He never made a human perfect, and if you were perfect, he would have replaced you with another human that makes mistakes. My sister actually talks about this a lot. She was like, Allah gives more sawab to one who struggles with reading the Quran and is stumbling on his words, but he keeps trying, than one with the most perfect qirat and most perfect pronunciation. If you think about it, all these reverts, I feel like it's such an interesting concept, because they feel like they're so behind, but really, I get so humbled when I hear about them talk about Islam. They think they're so behind, and they're always constantly trying to, do better. Think about it, it's their first time hearing this. It's a whole different way of viewing life through Islam, and they make so many connections that I would have never even thought of. That's the thing with perfectionism. Everyone has a different standard of perfect. You know what I mean? I would look at a revert and I would be like, wow, subhanallah, I wish my iman was that strong, just starting off too. And then they would look at a hijabi and be like, I wish I could wear the hijab. That's how I want to start off this video, because I feel like I just got straight into yapping, but I want to separate this video into two different parts. One being the divine perfect, Allah, God. Being perfect is not a human trait. It's a divine trait that only God has. We call it al-Quddus in Arabic. It means the most pure and the most perfect. I know perfectionism can lead into ego, pessimistic views, looking down on others, not ever being content with yourself. But there's also, I feel, if you were to rewire the way you think about the word and the way you think about the concept, God has blessed us with so many things as a human, our bodily capabilities. For me, the first thing that would pop up with perfectionism is immobilizing. I find myself to be a perfectionist, so if something that I create is not perfect, I don't share it. You know what I mean? And let's say I'm taking YouTube for example. If it's not to a T, there's hundreds of thousands of ideas that I've discarded, not even just with YouTube, that I've been working on, or personal projects that I just completely dismissed because it wasn't to my standard, it wasn't to my T. And no matter how much I tried working on it, I would just get frustrated with myself, and I would remain stagnant in that position. Perfectionism, to an extent, can feel immobilizing, and it can feel stagnant. And one of my greatest fears is being stagnant. Like, that's one of my greatest fears, and that's a state I found myself to be in for the past like year and a half now. And that's what I'm saying, like, I've started to become and live in my greatest fears. I had like a shift in my mindset when I started journaling. None of this was perfect in my opinion. I was just doing it for the sake of doing it, just for the sake of trying to get better. I was far from perfect, okay? And then I would start seeing results, like when I started working out and doing, like, pushing myself the extra mile. I started seeing like physical results on my body, results in my mental health, like all of this. And then, you know, you don't understand like how blessed you are until God tests you with something. Like, one of my greatest tests is my health, and I kind of got ignorant in the place where I would stop taking my meds because I was just tired of like always having to keep up with my body. I'm like, why doesn't my body just work like everyone else's? You know what I mean? Obviously in the end it's just gonna harm myself, but I was like, no, like, I'm fine now. Like, I'm fine. I've been fine for the past couple of weeks. Nothing's bad. Like, I can skip today. I can skip tonight. I'm not feeling anything. I don't have to take it. And then it catches up to you, you know? But, like, we don't realize how blessed we are. And I feel like that's something for me. Like, when I think about it, God has given me so many things. Like, my eyes, my senses, my brain, the way my brain thinks, like, all of this stuff, where I live, all of these opportunities I have. So why shouldn't I always be trying to get better? Why shouldn't I aim for that standard? Because I know it's not unachievable. I know it's not. And obviously so many factors play into making you doubt yourself, you know? Until you put yourself out there, you don't realize how many tests this world has. People don't want to see you win. I'm so serious. This world it's so hard to win in this world. This is something I noticed immediately as soon as I put myself out there. People hate on you. People dislike you. You don't know who your actual friends are. And for me, I quickly succumbed into societal pressure. I remember like trying different sports and doing all of this stuff. Perfectionism was so immobilizing to me. I used to play basketball, and I would like to say I'm gonna continue playing basketball, but I played basketball throughout middle school, yeah, and my health stopped me a lot from actually reaching my full potential. I feel I was supposed to be a starter, and then second game till the rest of the season I was benched because my mom would tell my coach, don't push her, I don't want to, like, don't push her too much, don't give her playtime, blah blah blah. And obviously to me that pissed me off, and I didn't realize my mom would do that until my coach would be like, your mom said nah, your mom said nah. It wasn't until the last game of that season, actually, my coach put me in second half. Second half, we were losing by 10 points. I come in, I made 12 points by the end of the third quarter. And I was just, you know, whatever. My coach had never said a single nice thing to me until that day, I remember. And she was like, guys, look at the scoreboard, we're 2 up. And I was like, sorry, coach, like, I'll keep going, because she said my name. And I was like, sorry, coach, like, I'll try better, because I did not want to be benched again. She's like, what do you mean? Like, you're doing so good, keep it up. I was speechless, bro. Like, I had not heard that. And it isn't until, like, I hear someone else's validation where then I actually believe in myself. And that's something I need to work on. I should have a sense of belief in myself that is so strong already. But it really helps when you hear other people, you know what I mean? I take other people's words, like, very, very, very close to my heart. And, like, with validation, that's, like, a huge thing for me. That was the only time where I was able to play. And I actually showed, like, what I was capable. I showed not only myself what I was capable of, but other people, too. Because, like, I wasn't able to play. Like, I played 2 games the entire time on my 7th grade basketball team. And it wasn't until the last game where I was actually able to show my coach, show my parents, like, bro, like, I can do it. There's so much, and it made me mad because I didn't even realize that my mom would be like, oh, I don't want to, like, please don't let her play because, you know, like, she can't handle that, all of that. But people don't see the practice and effort you put in behind the scenes. People don't see that. Like, how are you gonna tell me this is my boundary, this is my limit? How are you gonna tell me that? I feel like with perfectionism, that's a huge thing, like pushing your boundaries, but also it does get to a point, you know, like I don't know when to stop. Like my sister, she's like, you hate yourself, like you don't take your meds and you push yourself too much, like you hate yourself, you hate your body, you're not appreciating it. Which I get it, but you know, like you think you're getting better, and when like you're at the peak of something huge, and then in an instant Allah can take it all away. Like he can take it all away like so fast. And that's what really keeps you humble, you know. And it's not just in sports and like physical ability, it's in like so many things. I don't think people understand that until they go through it. Obviously, you can get so caught up in trying to achieve something, this standard, this perfect image for yourself, and Allah can take it away in any second. Like that we don't realize. Yes, He has blessed us so much, but we don't realize how much He's blessed us, you know. I'm really grateful because the more that I think about it, like Allah never lets me become too much, you know. Like He never lets me get full of myself because He always tests me immediately afterwards. That's something I always notice. So He takes that away from you. Anyways, as I was saying, back to my thing of divine perfectionism and human perfectionism. Allah is completely, our brains can't comprehend His presence. Like we can't even comprehend God. Like the human brain is too narrow. We cannot comprehend such a divine concept, you know what I mean? But God is the most divine. God is Al-Quddus. He's the most perfect. And so that's completely different. And now I have perfectionism in a human scope. We can always be better. And that's something I always want to push into other people. But it also gets to a point. You can always be better. Always. And it's not just about how many salahs you pray and how much of the Quran you know. It's the intention. It's always the intention. Little things that you do. And this is actually something that's helped me recently. I hate doing chores. I hate helping out around the house, as bad as it seems. But when you shift your mindset into being like this, like washing the dishes and easing this on your parents is an act of worship. Making tea for your family at night every night is an act of worship. Cleaning the kitchen, act of worship. Keeping your room clean, act of worship. And it seems selfish, you know, like, oh, you're only doing this for sawab. But I feel like that's a beautiful thing within itself. For Muslims at least, we should have a standard in faith, in our spiritual faith, and in our physical ability in everyday life, like your education-wise, physically, and most importantly, spiritually. Spiritually, we should all try to be like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that's why I think sunnahs are so pushed upon. Sunnah is the way of the Prophet. It's what the Prophet used to do. So when people are like, oh, it's sunnah to eat a date to break your fast, because that's what the Prophet did, and it's so highly respected, and especially in Allah's eyes, like that is a standard that as a Muslim you should try to stay, like keep up to. And then you have your own standards. Not everyone, like your idea of perfect educationally might be, okay, Harvard, Ivy League, start my own business, do this, that. But that is not another person's idea of perfect. It might be to get their master's degree, doesn't matter what college, become a lawyer, help other people, or work for a big company, retire early, start a family. That might be their idea of perfect. So you set that own standard for yourself, but never limit yourself. Never capsulate your dreams and hopes and achievements, because that in itself, I feel like, is disrespecting God. When you're making dua for Muslim, why do we think that like it's such a small thing to go out of? You don't even believe it. When you're making dua, you don't even believe God can find you your spouse. You just say it to say it. We don't take advantage of our dua enough. Your dua is limitless. It's limitless. If you think about how you're still breathing, living today, there is nothing God cannot do. There is not a single thing He cannot do. So why is your dua so humble and simple? We need to start making more dua and actually believing in it. That's how your dua gets accepted. If you actually believe that it will happen. What was I saying about this? Yeah, like, don't put a limit on your dreams. So when you're making your own standard for something else, never put a limit on it. Now, when you think you're perfect, genuinely, and like almost to a godly sense, when you master something you're good at, like, of course you mastered it. Are you humble? Like, you know what I mean? Now you mastered this one thing and you expect everything from different people. They should be like you. They're not on your level. All of this stuff. Now that's when it gets to a different point. But for me, I don't think that the idea of perfectionism should have such a negative stigma as it does. And I understand why, especially in this generation, it does. For me, like, my parents, like, bless their souls, like, my mother, she's such a great example of a hardworking woman, and she always seems to excel in everything she does, and she tries to push that on us. You know, she wants us to go to a great college and be all financially stable and by ourselves and do this, that. She wants us to be in the best in anything we do. Both my parents, my dad and my mom, they always push, whatever you do it with your heart. You know what I mean? That's their main thing. To me, sometimes it gets repeated so much that I kind of stray away from it, you know? Then, like, it's because they're telling me to do it. I don't want to do it. Like, something in me, I get repelled from it. This is a common example. Doing the dishes. I'm doing the dishes and you're telling me to do the dishes. Wallah, I'm gonna drop it right now. I'm not doing it. And that's such a bad mindset for me, but I always feel like there's always constant pressure, constant nagging of something. I feel like I'm doing good, but no one acknowledges it, but I feel like, okay, I'm good. And then my parents remind me I could always be better. That is a good thing. You know, it's a good thing because you can always be better. You shouldn't remain stagnant, but you should also acknowledge how far you've come. Instead of always going for the next thing, you need to acknowledge how far you come, but do never ever, this is my biggest fear, remaining stagnant. When you shift that and you create that mindset, always something I can do better. When you connect it back to your creator, there's always something I can do better. This act of worship, like doing the dishes, for my creator. I'm doing this because I'm gonna get sawab. I'm doing this because it's like an act of worship. Always something I can do better to prove myself to Allah, to prove my love and my devotion towards Him. Anything you do, your business that you're working on, it can always be an act of worship. It's the intention behind it. What is your intention behind it? But when you shift that focus on being perfect for other people, and that's performative perfection, that's when things start to go downhill. Now, when you think about it, when you're trying to perfect your salah or something, that's between you and your God, you know? When you're trying to perfect your profession for the sake of Allah, because you want to succeed in this life and you want to create for other people and your God to, you know, get into that status, you're set. You're like, okay, I can do better. That's good, yeah. But when you shift that onto trying to do it for other people, that's when you start to become narcissistic. That's when you have that ego that, oh, they're not like me. Or you're trying to be perfect for another person. Let me give you a scenario. A man is praying and he's in his sujood for like 10 minutes. 10 whole minutes in his sujood. There's one scenario where the man is in sujood 10 minutes. He's weeping, he's sobbing, all of this. When he's in sujood, it's only him and his creator. He's feeling that. He's feeling that connection with him and his creator. And he's feeling every word he's saying. And another scenario is that man is in sujood, but he's looking around. Is someone noticing this? That if I'm here for a little bit longer, they'll definitely notice me. Oh, her baba will see me in sujood for that long. You never know the intention behind someone. They could be in sujood and their mind is straying away for those entire 10 minutes and they're only down there to prove to other people, look at me, I'm praying for this long. Look at me, look how connected I am to my Lord. Two different standards. And someone else could look at that and be like, I want to be like him. You never know what another person is doing. That's why comparison is a thief of joy. It really is. And comparison and perfectionism, I feel, are also interconnected. Comparison without action is detrimental. You're constantly comparing, and you're never doing anything about it. Now that's on me. That is detrimental. But striving for a certain standard, I feel like it shouldn't be as looked down upon as it is, as we put it in a society. I feel like young people should, especially in our generation, we have become stagnant, you know, especially living in America. I see a lot of this, and you always complain about the government, how this stuff is around the world, but what are you doing about it? You're woke and you're sitting in your bed with your face mask on and drinking your iced coffee while scrolling on past videos of kids dying. And of course you feel for them, but what are you doing about it? I genuinely thought we would be moving like World War III up in here when we've been hearing about all of this stuff. But other countries see us as lazy, as self-conceited, because we're so comfortable that we don't want to risk our comfort for independence. Do you know what I mean? We would rather be controlled and watched constantly than get out of our beds and do something, you know, about it, you know. I think I'm kind of straying away from the topic, but comparison, perfectionism, and action, it's all how you see it. And I feel like we should all try to shift our views on how we see perfectionism and how we can always strive to be better, but also recognize how far we've come and recognize our difficulties and recognize our blessings and why we're doing this, and always put purpose behind everything. What is your purpose? Are you doing this for other people, or are you doing this for your creator? But yeah, that's all I really have to say on this topic for now. I feel like I'm kind of going in circles. I think I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. While I was doing this podcast, before I started talking about it, I was asking people, like, do you view perfectionism as a good or bad thing? And I got a lot of mixed answers, and I love seeing different people's insight about it, because people have different experiences. And a lot of people that were answering, they're like, this is my experience, so this is how I view it because of my experience. I kind of added a bit of my personal insight on that, and I love hearing from other people. So if you have any thoughts or even other podcast ideas, because I'm kind of like, it's only been the second episode, and that's the thing. I was talking about perfectionism because I was gonna stop uploading. Like, the main reason I become stagnant is because for me, perfectionism becomes so isolating and so immobilizing. Like, I can't feel myself do anything and break out of this shell because I feel like I have to be perfect. When I was playing basketball, I would show up an hour before practice. The coach would open the gym doors, the lights would be off, and I would be there. They would be having breakfast, and I would be in the gym. They would be in the locker room. I was already dressed. I was in the gym because I wanted to put in that extra practice. My basket broke right before tryouts, so I would hit the courts near my house at the local elementary at 4 a.m. in the morning, as soon as I got back home, because I was like, I need to be perfect in order to do this next scrimmage. I wouldn't 1v1 anyone until I felt like I was perfect. And that's a lot of the things, and I felt, even when I played high school basketball, a lot of things changed for me because it's other people. I kept letting other people's views and the coach's preferences like get in my way. And eventually, yeah, I don't want to play high school basketball anymore. I do, but I don't think I would put myself in that position. I haven't played in a while, actually, but I try playing when I can. And I don't know why I'm talking about basketball. Back to the thing. Yeah, I would put myself in this bubble. And then I also realized why I feel the need to be perfect. Because I feel blessed and I feel like I have the ability to do it, so why shouldn't I? I have the ability to be this good, so why shouldn't I try to be this good? Oh, I feel like I talked in circles. I feel like it didn't make sense, bro. I hope you guys took away some stuff from this and it gave you a new perspective on how it depends on if you view it as a good thing or a bad thing. And let me know down in the comments. But yeah. Bro, I didn't even finish my coffee. That's how locked in I was. Bro, I am a gulper. I do not sip. I was sipping on this the entire video. Want to say hi to the podcast?
Not really.
Why?
You're still drinking your coffee?
Yeah.
How does it taste?
I was talking too much. Say hi.
When are you going to sleep?
This is mine. Y'all want to see the setup we got going on?
If you look at how much that to that
I'm
one.
getting mad deja vu because I swear you said the same thing to me before. And I was sitting here right in this position. And I was literally talking to a camera and I was saying this exact thing. Anyways, let me wrap this up because why is it 40 minutes long? Why is it 40 minutes long? Genuinely, why is it 40? No one should be talking for this long. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please comment down below any ideas for future podcasts that you want me to talk about or your thoughts on this topic as well. And I hope to see y'all next time. Bye.